Recently I've been struggling with focusing too much on things that I can't really control. Focusing too much on what if I don't have enough money? What's going to happen to me? Focusing too much on the fear of death of myself and death of the ones around me. Focusing too much on rejection, whether that be with a partner or with family, with a spouse. And I tend to focus on these things way longer than they need to be focused on. And I'm trying to figure out why. Why does that keep grabbing and consuming my attention? And I figured out the answer. And it's not an answer that I want to accept. Not the answer I want. It's not the answer I want to be the answer, but it is the answer. And if you can accept this way of thinking, and when I accept this way of thinking, suddenly all those problems trickle away. Doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. The things that I have deemed to be major problems are no longer major problems. Not being able to pay the bills. Not being able to figure out, am I going to be married one day? Am I going to have kids? And the origin of this answer came from the fact that recently, for me, I have started to devote myself to a greater cause. I realize that I'm not the center of the universe when it comes to what should happen and what shouldn't happen. You can call it a higher power of sorts. I'm not religious, not Catholic, Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, Muslim, none of that shit. But I have realized that if I don't serve a greater purpose, life is meaningless. But as I serve this greater purpose, and as life ebbs and flows as it does, when things don't start going my way, suddenly all those old thoughts about fear, delusion, self-pity come rushing back in. And this answer came to me suddenly. And it's funny listening to podcasts and listening to conversation. It's funny how those things work, because I've probably heard this answer one time and I didn't think about it too much. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's me. Yep, I do that. I don't do that. At least not constantly and not nearly as much, and working nearly towards that answer as much as I should. So the other day, as I was spiraling over a sale that got literally stolen from me by my own boss, and I'm in the remodeling sales, I get commission, sales commission only. Some people know how that works. It's called like you kill what you eat. You're basically like a little mini business owner. Think about it like that. 1099, you don't get paid unless you put in the work. And long story short, for whatever reason, my boss decided that he was gonna take a sale. And it was a big sale. And the first thing that happened was my mind went to the commission and how much commission I lost. And then I went to, well, I could have paid this and I could have paid that with that commission. And then I went to, what am I gonna do now that I don't have this extra $2,000 that's supposed to be coming in next? Dude, rabbit hole of woe is me and what am I gonna do? And anybody would have been on my side. He stole that shit from you, he stole that out of your pocket, yada yada, but I can't think like that. And the thought that occurred to me in that spiral of self-pity and fear about money was this: God is either everything or he is nothing. So in that moment, I was making money my everything. In those moments when we fear rejection and we can't stop thinking about anything but how we look or if people will accept us, we worship those things. So those are our everything. In those moments where we're thinking about an argument that we had with our parent, sister, spouse, kid, And all you can think about is, I should have said this. Well, fuck that. They can't talk to me like that. You're worshiping that. And it was so hard to accept that I can't focus on the money in that aspect when it was taken. But if I think like that, it now centers the universe and the world around me again. And that's why I start spiraling so quick. Instead, I started focusing on the fact that I'm following this life that focuses on what God would have me do. So I'm going to run into that stuff anyway. I'm going to be able to lead myself to whatever physical external needs that I would require. So I don't need that $2,000. It's not worth my serenity. Because, man, I was quick to start thinking of the conversation we were going to have, what I was going to say, how I was going to get him to give me back that $2,000, get him to see how he stole it from me and how he's wrong and how he's going to listen to me. Literally all day I was thinking about it, and I just put my hands up and I surrendered and I said, I don't care about the money. I don't care about this job. I don't care about any of that. How can I be of service to people? How can I help people? Next, what do? So if you can't make God everything in your life, man, I gotta tell you, it's a miserable fucking life. And this applies for everything. Pretty much any negative emotion that we feel means that we are now putting that thing at the center of our universe, and God is not everything, that thing is everything. And I've started to see it in a lot of different examples. For instance, whenever I see a parent who is scolding their kid and the kid doesn't react appropriately and the parent gets pissed and they start yelling more, you are not making God everything in that situation. You are making what you want to happen everything. People like to say this as a joke all the time, and I'm not Catholic or Christian, but they say, what would Jesus do? Or you could say, what would your God do? Would your God beat the shit out of your kid or yell at your kid or take away their phone and not give them any explanation or give them any explanations for whatever punishments you're giving them? I'm not saying don't punish your kid, but I see a lot of unexplained, not justified punishments, and it just destroys relationships. Whenever you're talking shit about people at work or talking shit about people to your friends, you are then putting that thing at the center of your universe. Would your God talk shit behind somebody's back? I'm not saying you can't constructively criticize people. You can give feedback, but give it to their face and give it to them with the intention of wanting them to be better, not you feel better by putting them below you. These are things I'm starting to see day in and day out that I do that are putting things at the center of my universe that aren't my higher power. And then I'll catch myself in the middle of the day wondering why I'm feeling so, it's almost like I feel sick inside. I don't feel good. I don't have a good spirit when I'm doing these things. And then I start worrying about all the little bullshits, the money, the appearances, the rejection, acceptance. I mean, fuck, dude. None of that shit's worth it. None of it. None of it's worth your time. None of it's worth your peace. Forget about it. Put your higher power at the center and leave it at that. How can I help this person? How can I be of maximum service? This is the life we need to live. This is how we become free from these things around us that cage our mind. Hope the sun isn't too blinding. I thought it'd be a totally sweet shot. I'm probably just going to turn around to record the next one, but whatever.